What's happening, guys? I'm gonna show you a quick, easy, and cheap way to make fish habitats that you can put in your pond and lake to help you catch more bass. Come along. All right, so let's get started. So the things that I bought from Lowe's was the buckets. I got 4 of these and they ran about $3.48 a piece, so that's probably around 14 bucks. I got 4 of them. So depending on how many you get will determine obviously how much you're gonna spend. But this is probably about under 50 bucks for 4 really good fish habitats. Then I got this 1-inch piping right here. It actually came in a huge spool, and as you can see, I cut it up into halves. So that was about 30 bucks, and it was 1-inch piping, and it was about 100 feet. So it has a lot. It has tons to where I can actually make 5. There's actually some more over there on the far side, so I can actually make 5 fish habitats out of this, so I have to get another bucket. But some of the tools that you're gonna need, I'm sorry, I skipped over something. So you got the bucket from Lowe's, you got the piping, and then you have the Quick Crete. This Quick Crete is an 80-pound bag, dries super fast, and it was only about $5.04. So that right there, you have all the ingredients, which is only 3 ingredients that you're going to need to help you make these habitats. Now, on top of that, let's look at the tools. So I have a drill, and then I have this little saw hole piece right here. As you can see, it drills those holes. Now, the key thing to this is that you want the saw hole to be a little bit smaller than this piping. So this piping is actually, it says 1 inch, but it's actually 1 3/8. So this saw hole is 1 inch. So that's when the razor blade is going to come into play. You're going to need a little ruler to help measure, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. And then you'll need a Sharpie. So let's start the build. So the first thing you want to do is cut the piping. And one quick tip that I can leave you is that leave the tape or the packaging on it, and then just cut it on one side, and then go ahead and cut it on the other side, and then take the tape off of the packaging. And then once you take the tape off, you'll have these sections somewhat similar to this. And then I just divided them up into how many buckets I had. I had 4 buckets, and I divided up, and then I actually 5 of the little PVC pipes, or not PVC, but the plastic piping for the fish habitat was actually too many. So I did 4 on each bucket. So I actually had 5, or actually 4 left over to create another one. So the first thing you want to do is definitely cut the PVC piping, and then the second thing that you would want to do is come over here and go ahead and start to measure out the bucket. And pay attention to what I'm going to do here. I have my small little ruler right here. On this bucket, it actually has two little lineup lines that I actually use to start my first line. So I'm going to go ahead and make several different lines. So I got 1. All right, now I'm going to cross it. So the black line want to cross this way. I'm going to go down the other way, somewhat making a T shape, and I'm going to show you exactly what to do after this. All right, so now I'm going to half the other ones. So I'm making 4 lines because I have 4 pieces of pipe that I want to put through the bucket. All right, so there. And then let's do 1 more. All right, so I'm going to do it just like that. So to get a closer look of the bucket, it will look somewhat similar to that. Now, what I'm going to do next is measure how far I want the tubing. And how I did it was 2, 4, 6, and 8. So I'm going to line up my tape measure to the first line here along the side of it. And then I'm going to measure 2 inches, and then I'm going to put a little black mark with my Sharpie. So let's go ahead and get through with this real quick. I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. So it doesn't matter which line you start with. And what I'm going to do is just go around the bucket and just go 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. So here's the first line. Here's 2. I'm going to make a mark. Next one is going to be 4 inches. I hope y'all can see this. Next line, line it up. There's a 4. Next one, we're going to go to 6. And then the last one will be 8 inches high. All right, and then we're going to do it again. So we have 2. You can still see. So we had 2. Next one would be 4. This is super easy. It just took me a little bit to try to figure it out because I didn't think I had all the right tools to do this. Then we got 6, and then the last one will be 8. Alright, so boom. There we go. Now we have all of our lines measured out to go ahead and pre-drill these holes. So here we go. There's a little dot, here's a little dot, and as you can see, here's the highest one, then it goes down a little bit, then it goes down just a little bit more, and then it goes down to about the 2-inch mark here. So now we're going to pre-drill these holes. So let's go get the drill. Now, with using this right here, this tool, the saw hole, it has this little slit, or this little slit right here, to where every once in a while the plastic may get stuck in here. So I use a small screwdriver that fits in there, this one right here, and I'll slide this in this hole here and just pop it out. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. So let's go ahead and find these holes. Now this has like a little drill tip to it. Just put that to the hole that you made and go ahead and start drilling. So here's one. Here's the next one. Here's the next one. Super quick. Now you can see sometimes they fall out, so it helps out a little bit. Alright, so now let's find the other one again. Right here. Last one. Well, see, there's the plastic. Take this, go inside that hole just like that, and you can poke them out. I think there's 2 of them on there. All right, so you poke it out, get it cleaned off, put it on the last hole, just like that, pull that out. Now we have all the holes pre-drilled. This is where the razor blade actually comes into play, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. Now if I take this piece of piping, it's way too big. The piping is way too big for this hole, and that's the problem that I ran into. And I ran out to a couple different stores to try to figure out what I needed to do in order to do this. And the only thing that I actually needed to do, and I just thought of it when I got home, was maybe if I just take a razor blade and cut a couple holes along this, it may just be able to push through, and that's exactly what I did. So let me show you exactly what I did. You have to be very careful when you do this too. The first one that I did, I actually made a line or a cut, and it went all the way up here. So be very careful when you cut these holes. So you're just making smaller holes. Let me go ahead and turn this a little bit so you can see it better in the light. So not holes, I'm sorry. You're just making small slits, and the more you make, the easier it's going to be to get the pipe in there. At first, I was only making like 4 of them, and I couldn't get the PVC pipe or the piping in the hole too well. Alright, so I did it for that one. Go to the next one. So just make sure when you're doing this, you're being very careful. You don't want to cut toward your body. You don't want to cut toward your hand. Just be very careful when you're doing this, because it's really easy to mess up and hurt yourself. So I'm just going to go ahead and do all 8 of them. Now if we look at this, you can see the slices inside of here, to where when you push, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to penetrate that piece of pipe through here. And don't forget, when you slide it through the 8-inch side, it's going to go through the 8-inch hole over here on the same side. Not the same side, but the same height. So 8 and 8, 6 and 6, 4 and 4, and 2 and 2. So let's go ahead and push these through. Let's see. We have our 4 pieces. Alright, so one key thing is make sure you start at the bottom. If you don't start at the bottom, it makes it very, very difficult. And I'll show you why. Alright, so let's start at 2, the bottom one. I usually hold my hand inside the bucket and try to push this in. See how easy that went in? Now, the other thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to go ahead and slide this in, line it up with the other 2-inch hole on the other side. And this is where it gets a little tricky, and you have to use a little bit of muscle. But it's pretty easy because of those holes that you make. So I'm just going to grab this with this hand, hold the bucket with my left hand, and go ahead and start twisting and pushing at the same time. And now it's all the way through. Not all the way through, but it's through the hole. And then what I do next is I just line this up, somewhat similar to that, and I try to make it even. So fairly even on both sides. All right, now I get my other stick, and we're going to go to the 4-inch. So we were at 2, now we're going to the 4-inch hole. Put your hand on the inside part, grab this, and twisting it helps out a lot too. Push it all the way over to the other side. Twist it. Make sure it's even. It looks a little higher on this side. All right. Get the next piece. We're going to go to the 4-inch side. Put my hand in, twist. That one went in a little bit easier. Just like that. Let's see if you can still see it. Just a tad bit. All right, now we have the last one. This last one has a little blue cap on it from when I purchased it, but that slides right off. All right, so now we're going to go to the 8-inch hole. Slide that in. Push it in. There you have it, guys. That is it. Now, one way that you can lower into the pond is maybe by this handle right here. I would take some string. Let me just show you real quick. Have this large spool of string. So what you would do is you would put the string around there and make it the length on both sides so you can lower it somewhat similar to this so it falls straight. Once you get it to the depth that you want it, go ahead and let go of one side of the rope and go ahead and bring it back up. Now, the one thing that I was thinking with this is that if you're fishing anything that had treble hooks or open or exposed hooks, you may hang into this. So one thing that I was thinking was that you can actually maybe pre-drill some holes, or a hole here and a hole over here on this side, run that line through that to where you do not have this here to where you can get hung up. So I'm actually going to be taking this off, pre-drilling holes. Now it looks like it has holes right here, but it's only from this lip right here, so it's not going to go through the bucket. So pre-drill 2 holes here, run your line through it, and then do exactly what I did with that line that I just showed you, to where you can lower it down, and then you release one side of the rope to where you can pull that rope back up and do another one if you need to. But the next thing I would do was I'd pour a little bit of Quick Crete in here. I wouldn't pour it all the way up to the top. If you poured it all the way to the top, it may get a little heavy. But you can do whatever you want to do. If you need to get another bag of Quick Crete because you want it a little bit higher, feel free to. But I'm only probably going to put about maybe 5 or 6, maybe 4 to 5 inches down here on the bottom to where it would just hold it still down on the bottom of the lake. But guys, that's basically it. That right there probably only took about 15 minutes to make one, and it makes it a little bit more difficult when you try to record. But here they are right here. How y'all doing? Good, thank you. But these are them right here. You have 1, 2, 3, and I made these 2 probably within 30 minutes. So here, you're doing this less than an hour to make these fish habitats. I got 1 more to make, and then I actually have some more piping that I can make another one as well. So this is them. I'm gonna put these somewhere where nobody else knows, and I can just go out and fish and catch all the big fish. Just kidding. But you guys leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think about it, how I could make it a little bit better. Also, before we end, you can twist these any way you want. So if you want them to angle down a little bit to act as like a little barrier so a fish can get up underneath of it, you can do it that way too. But this is how I made some fish habitats today. Hopefully it helps you guys. And tight lines. See you next time. All right, so one more thing before we wrap it up. I have my buckets out here, and as you already know, we punctured holes into these buckets. So the one thing that I recommend is use another bucket for your Quick Crete and do not make it too thick. So once it starts to thicken up, go ahead and set it into your buckets, either dumping it in or using another shovel or small little shovel and placing it inside each one of these buckets, because I feel like if you would dump the Quikrete in here and then dump the water, it's probably going to seep out some of these little holes that we created in there. So guys, these are the fish habitats. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you next time.